How are you supposed to launch an online course when you don't have an audience yet? Who's going to buy it? Don't you have to build the audience before you build the course? No, actually. This is a trap that will keep you stuck. What no one tells you about social media is it takes 3.5 years to build a following from scratch. 3 years of daily effort. Come closer, look into my eyes, and be honest with me. With you being as busy as you are, we both know you're not going to stick with us every day for the next 3 years. Your job is going to suck you back in. You'll stop posting content, and eventually you'll quit. We both know it's true. But what if there was another way? Because you see, this trap of having to build your audience first is an illusion, and I can prove it. This is me 10 years ago. We'll call him Little John. Little John was working full-time for a software company. He had no audience, no social media following, 0 powerful people promoting him. And yet he launched an online course that made him 50 grand the first week. Over the next few years, that course made over $2 million. The question is, how? Where did those buyers come from? And how did Little John escape this trap? That's exactly what I'm going to teach you in this video. Not only so you can launch your course, but so you can get out of this audience trap. My name is John Morrow, and I built 8 7-figure courses sitting in my wheelchair, using nothing but my brain. And now I want to show you how to monetize your brain, turning your expertise into a source of passive income that gives you the freedom to do whatever you want. The first step is breaking the illusion. Most people assume that an audience leads to building a course based on what they want, and this leads to money. But what if you could rearrange this equation? What if you could create your course, and this would lead to you having an audience, and you'd immediately start making money and watching it increase over time? The secret is advertising. You literally buy the attention of the audience you want. Suppose you create a course priced at $1,000. You decide to run ads, and let's say each click on your ad costs you $1. If just 1 out of every 1,000 people who click buys your course, you've spent $1,000 to make $1,000. You're breaking even. But here's where it gets interesting. Those 1,000 clicks, they're not just numbers. They're potential students, people who've shown interest in what you have to offer. And even those who didn't buy right away are now part of your audience. And the sale of your course has covered the cost of the ad. Your audience is growing, and it's not costing you extra, even if you break even. But hold on, it gets better. If you know what you're doing, you might convert 2 people out of 1,000. The first sale pays for your ads, and the second sale gives you $1,000 of profit. You also add 1,000 total people to your audience, 2 customers, and 998 non-buyers. Over the next 30 days, let's say 3 more of those people buy, 1 per week. Now you've made the initial $2,000 plus 3,000 more, giving you a total of $5,000. You spent $1,000 on ads, so you literally created a machine that transforms $1 into 5. But wait, it still gets better. The revenue compounds over time. Let's say you spend $1,000 a week on ads and get those 2 initial sales. Well, you've doubled your money, but that's only the first week. The second week, you again spend 1,000, but it's not coming out of your pocket anymore. You're just using your profits to grow. But again, you get 2,000 back. But now you also get 1 sale of $1,000 from last week's people who are now trickling in. Do you see where this is going? At the end of 10 weeks, here's how the math adds up. As you add 1,000 new people each week, the sales gradually stack up until you're making $1,000 a week. At the end of 10 weeks, you'll have turned your initial investment into $50,000. We subtract the $1,000 you initially invested plus the $9,000 of money you put back into ads, giving us a total profit of 40 grand, a 40x return of your investment in just 10 weeks. I call it the traffic engine. You use ads to get course sales, and then you reinvest revenue from those sales into more ads. It's a perpetual traffic engine that fuels itself. Once you've built the machine, it creates your audience with barely any additional work. But that's all theory. Let's take a look at a real-life example to drive this home. Remember Little John? Well, he was a master at writing for big name sites like Forbes, Business Insider, Huffington Post. So he thought, why don't I teach other writers how to do that? He had the know-how. He already had about a dozen different writers that he knew that he taught how to do it, and he had screenshots of their articles published on all the major sites. Just a quick side note, cool idea, right? If you'd like to find your own $1 million course idea, like this one, I created an entire checklist for coming up with $1 million course ideas exactly like this one, and it's free below. But back to Little John. I needed to find a way to demonstrate that expertise to the world, and I needed a way to gain enough trust with writers and notoriously broke audience to part ways with a couple $100 for the course. So here's what I did. I created a resource called the Big Black Book, and it had the email addresses of all the editors of these big sites, plus links to the writer guidelines. It's like 100 sites. If you wanted to write an article for one of them, it saved a ton of time. And I sold it for only $7 because, again, writers are broke, and I wanted to earn their trust by giving them an amazing resource for a low price. After they bought the Big Black Book, I sold them the $200 course about becoming a freelance writer for big sites. But there was one big problem. Again, the trap. I had no audience, nor did I have time to build one, right? So here's how I escaped the trap. I started with spending $100 a day on Facebook, and the ad said, want to write for the Huffington Post? Click here. And it worked. Thousands of people clicked that ad, and they went to the page offering a free guide to writing for the Huffington Post in exchange for their email address. It cost me about 50 cents a click, and 1 out of every 2 people signed up to my email list. So that gave me subscribers for $1 each. I was getting 100 subscribers a day. On the next page, I gave them a written free guide about how to get published on the Huffington Post, telling them all the tips and tricks about the writing style, what topics to cover, how to pitch, and then at the end, I offered to sell them my Big Black Book with all the contact info for all the editors at the Huffington Post and all the other magazines, and about 10% of the people who had subscribed by email purchased within the first week, and about 20% of those people bought the $200 course. So let's review. I was spending $100 a day to get the email addresses of 100 leads. 10% purchased the $7 book. So 10 people per day, that's $70 a day. Then 20% of those buyers, 2 people in this case, bought the $200 course. Total revenue, $470 in exchange for $100 in ads, nearly 5x. And this is when Little John started doing wheelies and screaming, I'm going to be rich. So I kept advertising, and the sales kept coming. I inched up the budget $100 at a time, and the sales tapered off a little bit, but I was still making a profit. So I kept going, gradually scaling to $1,000 a day, getting 1,000 subscribers a day, and breaking even on all of it. The end result, I built an email list of over 100,000 leads in just 3 months. I had thousands of buyers who trusted me. My initial out-of-pocket investment for all of that was only $100. And then I was just reinvesting the profits. And in the future, I sold millions of dollars of courses to those 100,000 leads. Now, what's the takeaway here? Obviously, I'm a badass. Doesn't need to be said. It's the one and only Eagle Double. But the bigger takeaway is this. You don't have to build an audience from scratch. You can buy one, and your course can pay for it. You create the course first, then you start advertising. You get sales, you build an audience, and you reinvest your profits into more ads. Now, let me point out one problem in this diagram, this right here. Sales. From the story I just told you, you might believe the magic secret to getting sales is to have a $7 product that upsells to a $200 product. And that's incorrect. It is what I did. But there are 3 ways to get sales from ads, and I want to go through each one of them right now. The one I did is a cheap product that upsells to a more expensive product. But I made a mistake in my pricing structure. If you're starting with a $7 front end, jumping to $200 is more than 20x the price. That's typically too big of a jump when you're selling to people who are strangers from an advertisement. You're usually better off having a more expensive front end that's like $49 and then shoot for a 2 to 4x price. So it'd be $99 to $199. The other problem with this type of funnel is it constrains the price of your course. $200 is typically the maximum. If you want to sell your course for $500 or $2,000 or $10,000, there's no way to make the math work. And here's the really counterintuitive part. The higher your price gets, the more money you'll typically make. If you have 2 courses on the same topic, one that's $200 and one that's $2,000, the more expensive one will typically make more money. So being constrained on the price of your course is a really bad business problem. And that's where these 2 other funnels come in. First, we have the webinar funnel. You can do it live. Typically, it's done on demand. And what that means is people can watch a pre-recorded presentation. They choose a time, they choose a date, just like for a live presentation. But when they show up, it's all pre-recorded. Here's how it works. First, people go to a webinar registration page that gets them excited by attending the webinar, and then they choose the time they would like to attend. You often have these every 15 minutes. So they choose one, and that takes them to the webinar room where they watch the presentation. This presentation is really just a pre-recorded video inside the webinar room. They can't fast forward or rewind. They have to watch the video as if it were live. And the reason why that matters is because it forces people to see the information you want in exactly the order you present it. And then finally, you give anyone who didn't attend a recording link where they can watch. And this one does kind of fast forward and rewind. If you're selling a course between $500 and $3,000, an on-demand webinar is typically your best bet because people watch an hour or more of content before you ask them to purchase. So the odds of them purchasing go up considerably with that much time. The downside is the costs also rise. You might pay between $5 and $10 for every person who registers, and your conversion rate also decreases. If you get 1 out of 100 to purchase, you're doing really well. So that means you're spending $500 to $1,000 to get a sale, and that's why $1,000 is the minimum for this type of funnel for the price of your product. The last funnel, and my favorite one, is the appointment funnel. This type of funnel is typically for coaching programs. You're selling to $5,000 and up, and there's no maximum to the price here. Here's how it works. People come to a page with a video explaining what your course is about, and there's an application form underneath that asks questions to see if they qualify to work with you. If they qualify, they then proceed to choose a time to talk with you over either phone or Zoom. From there, you get on the phone with these people and you actually talk with them. Lots of people run from this type of funnel because they don't want to do calls, they don't want to do sales. But here's why I love it. I typically pay anywhere from $100 to $200 maybe in advertising spend per call. Let's assume the higher price, $200. And then let's say only 1 out of every 5 of these people purchase. Then you're paying $1,000 to get a sale, but let's say you're selling a coaching program for $10,000. That means you're getting a 10x return on your ad spend, sometimes more on this type of funnel. Any of these funnels can work, but the appointment funnel has been the easiest for me, followed by the webinar, followed by the cheapy product with an upsell. Regardless though, those are the 3 major options for launching your course. And if you put in the work to get good at ads and also get good at building funnels, you can make a lot of money from all of these. Now, there is one prerequisite you should be aware of. The number one reason most courses fail isn't advertising. It isn't marketing. It's actually starting with a bad course idea. Not everything makes a good course. If you'd like to know the exact process I use to choose my course ideas and save yourself from creating a course no one wants, watch this video next.